Good day, good day, good day, good day. Hope everyone's having a blessed day. I am having a blessed day. So I'm going to try to make this topic really short and really sweet, but it's going to hit hard for everyone that's dealing with trauma and depression, and those that's seeking guidance and understanding the information from any everywhere, people, places, and things. This information is for you. Is geared for you. It's geared towards all the victims and everybody that ever that had an act of violence, being sexually assaulted, in and out of depression state of relationships, anything that made you feel down or make you feel other than yourself. An individual that took your innocence and your honesty for granted and used and abused it and threw it away like a piece of trash, like you don't even exist. This topic is for you, and I can only give you my pointers and my experience and my solutions on how to deal with forgetting. One may say, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about forgetting? How can you forget somebody cut you? How can you forget somebody shot you? How can you forget somebody sexually assault you? How can you get how can you forget somebody stole from you? How can you forget these acts that brings traumas? These acts produce traumas, right? The act itself is a trauma, and forgiving someone is easy. And I want you to know the difference between forgiving and forgetting, right? It's easy to forgive. It's easy to work on to forgive someone of doing a violent act towards you, of stealing from you, of sexually abusing you, right? Because through you working through your higher power, you working through courses that can help you to learn how to cope with a lot of traumas and a lot of pain. There's things out there, and also your higher power in order to forgive, right? Forgiving process, it takes time, but you can forgive. How you doing? How you doing? But the ultimate is forgetting. It's forgetting that someone did an act upon you. How do you do that? How do you forgive? I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much. How do you forget this trauma act that has been done to you over and over and over and over and over again? There's some people that still living with this trauma act that did not forget. It played night and day through their head, through their brain, through their mind, body, and soul. This act is being played out. So they cannot to begin to live their life. They reliving this act and they coping they act with drugs and alcohol and pain and medication to suppress a part of your brain of forgetting. Do you hear what I'm saying? forgetting. If they have drugs, alcohol, medication, right, to produce you forgetting an act of violence that happened upon you, that means that you can begin a process of forgetting the act that had been done to you, whether it's present or whether it's in the past. And this is some good information for you. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I just had a conversation and I learned through my traumas and through my pain and through my suffering and me drinking and me smoking and me doing acts of violence upon people and people doing acts of violence upon me, right? I learned how to forgive and I learned how to forget. And the process of learning how to forget is a very difficult, difficult, difficult process. It is not easy. Everybody can't do it, but it's possible that it could be done. The reason why I'm giving this advice because we are all suffering, right? A lot of us are suffering with um acts of violence, acts of child abuse, acts of being beaten with iron cords, acts of going hungry for days, acts of just about any everything that plague you at a young age and also as an adult. You go through all of these process and steps. How can you transfer this act into forgetting? Well, first thing first is easy said than done. People, places, and things. People, places, and things. After you master people, places, and things, you can start the process of forgetting that this act had been done to you. And the reason why you need to forget is because it's really, really important. Is a important part of your brain to forget so you can start to begin to live your life. The trauma is the act that happened to you, that happened to me, right? We all know that this act cannot, because basically it's part of the memory, it's part of the long term memory. So, individuals produce um, prescription drugs to that part of your brain to suppress you forgetting that this act has been done to you. If a person can produce that, a drug that can suppress this act being done to you, that means that you can produce an act and replace that act that's done to you with something greater and better with the help of the Alpha Omega, the Creator, which is your higher power. You need your higher power to guide you to suppressing this act of trauma of happening to you, which means you have to let go and let the Almighty take care of it. And Himself will suppress this. Himself will suppress it as you go on and process in life. And I know that. I know it. Because you know why? It took me a long time to get here, to give you advice, right? And suppressing that these acts and traumas that happen to us at an early age, middle age, adult age, it doesn't matter. These acts that happen to you can traumatize you and will traumatize you. But the act of forgetting is difficult. I know it all too well. And it took me a while to forget Not forgive, but to forget that these acts was done to me. Now, some people say, well, why do you talk about your past history if you forget? The experience of these acts happened to you, right? It's traumatizing. So it's going to traumatize you. It's going to traumatize you and it's going to sit there. It's going to sit there and it's going to sit there, right? Until when you activate it, there's something that's triggering you to activate this trauma, this act of violence that was upon you. So, in order to in order to not be triggered, you have to learn new habits and new ways to replace of being triggered. And after you learn how to counterattack of being triggered, now you must master the act of being triggered so you can overcome this. And when you master the act of being triggered, now you master the act of what? Of forgetting and suppressing the act of violence and trauma that's in your brain that sit there and be activated by people, places, and things that you go around. This is an actual true fact. You could be your own medicine. You could be your own guide. You can be your own information if you take the time out to study who you are, to understand who you are, to understand how the brain works, and to understand how trauma works, and to understand how depression works, and to understand how guidance works, and to understand how information works, and to understand that you need to level up in life. That it's easy to forgive, but it's very difficult to forget. It's very difficult, and it's a process of forgetting these trauma acts and triggering acts that happen upon you. So society has learned that, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna place drugs, we're gonna place alcohol, we're gonna place homeless shelters, we're gonna place group homes, we're gonna place all of these things there because we co-created this acts upon the people, which add in medication, which ultimately adds to money towards people. So now each and every person that deals with mental health is becoming somebody bad. You are somebody bad on a higher scale that I'm talking about. This is a higher scale. So I learned how to replace and forget my acts of traumas. But going through these acts and traumas, right, and forgetting them does not negate my experience that happened to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? My experience and traumas, because that trauma and act it sits there. It sit there, and it can activate 24/7. It can be activated and constantly be activated, activated there because there is an electrical shock there that activate that nerve in there, and it constantly, right? It constantly, it constantly hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it with the electrical shock. Now it could come from family, it could come from friends, it could come from places because people, places, and things also are triggered for you. Do you understand? To suppress and to forget is to allow yourself to let go. That is the key. You have to let go. You have to let go. And once you let go, then you will start the process of to forgetting what happened to you. And you will use this very thing that you let go as experience to help others, because others gonna ask you, how did you do it? How did you overcome drugs? How did you overcome jail? How did you overcome being sexually assaulted? How did you overcome being homeless? How did you overcome of being jobless? How did you overcome of being lifeless? Meaning with no guidance and understanding, because you let go and you let the Almighty take the wheel. That is the first and foremost thing that you have to do. And you must do a little research on certain things that you can do to help yourself. So, how did you not take medication? How did you not seek counseling? How did you not seek psychologists? How did you get around this, Austin? Please tell me, because I've been seeing a psychologist for 10 years, all my life. How did you do it? Please tell me, because I'm tired of taking the medication. I'm tired of using drugs. I'm tired of smoking weed. I'm tired of using cigarettes. I'm tired of using acts of violence. I'm tired of keep going in and out jails and not find a solution for my health. How did you do it? I let go. I let go, right, and left it in the hands of the Alpha Omega, the creating everything in existence. And I learned that these acts of traumas can be reversed and could be suppressed by the new acts and the new life that I'm embarking on, that I'm trying to do for me and my loved ones. You can suppress it, and he can suppress and take a portion of this electronic shock that keeps hitting this trauma upon your brain, which is long term, right? He could begin to hit that very mark that is triggering you, and you will forget that this act happened to you. And then next thing you know, you look around, you got all this material stuff, you got all this money, you got everything around you. You got your loved ones around you, and people looking up to you as guidance and as a beacon of light and a beacon of hope. It can be done because I did it. And these are some of the tools and the tactics that I use to forgetting the acts of traumas that happened to me, because you know what? I let go and let Almighty take care of it. And I became active by forming and producing new activities in my life, and praying and worshiping him and asking for forgiveness. Forgiveness is the easy part. It's forgetting that is the difficult part. And people pray on that. People pray on that knowing that you don't have the intelligence or information or the guidance to understand on how to forget the acts of traumas that you are dealing with as a person. So they take your joy and they take your energy from you. That's right. And they live off that because they know how the mind work, which is the spirit. They know how it work, meaning the brain. They know how the brain work, and they know the channels of the brain, and they know what parts of the brain that's triggering, what parts of the brain that's long-term memory and short-term memory. Yes. So these are some of the things and experience that I have to share with you, beloved. If I can do it, you can do it. To forget. And I know it's very difficult to forget an act of trauma and an act of depression, and we replace it with drugs and alcohol and weed and all of these synthetic things that's not going to help you cope with the pain and depression and trauma at the end of the day, beginning of the day, in the middle of the day. Yes, that means that you have a lot of work to do. So now you passed the part of forgiving. Now you need to start working on forgetting and letting go. And some people, they don't want to do it. They have the option to do it. They don't want to work on it for whatever reason. So they suppress it with alcohol, drugs, violence, guns, and they suppress it with medication or a psychologist. This is what they do. And the biggest psychologist for me in counseling with me was the Alpha Omega, the creating everything in existence. It was actually this way of life, this beautiful way of life of me accepting Islam, accepting Islam. By me accepting Islam and praying to the Alpha Omega, the creator, everything existing, helped me suppress the acts of violence, of child abuse, being beaten with iron cords, being child molested over and over and over again, using alcohol and cigarettes and all of these other things. He replaced it with the best reward that a man can get is to actually knowing and understanding and letting the Lord take the will in life. That's an actually true fact. That's an actually true fact. That's the ultimate benefit that you can do. But there's a process in order to get to it. There's a process, and the process to recognize and understand and get the information that you need to understanding your brain and how it works and what you can do to replace these certain acts of violence and trauma behavior and depression, right? And replacing it and um suppressing it of forgetting the actual person like he or she never exists. Yes, you can do that because he can help you do that while he deals with them in the long run. I'm telling you, he's going to deal with them. You may not know it, or you may do. Leave it in his hand and watch him work. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, there's some things that I have done towards people and they cannot forget. They forgive me, but they cannot forget the acts. So when these individuals saw me, it was like, what the? And just like a lot of other people out there, how did he overcome jail? How did he overcome all this and get a city job and did this and did that and did this? Because I let go and let the Almighty take the will of my life. I was no longer going to be fighting against these traumas and these acts of forgiveness and these acts of not forgetting because only he can do it ultimately. So that's the advice that I want to share with you. Please like, share, subscribe to the dopest channel out right now on YouTube. I will appreciate it. And please share this with your loved one, with your friend and family, ladies and gentlemen, prince and princess, right? Kings and queens all around the world. And this is my advice to you dealing with forgetting these acts of traumas through prayer and changing people, places, and things. And as a process, not going to say it's going to be difficult at times because there's a process of doing it, but leave it to your higher power to aid in, to help you to learn actually what you can do. Peace, y'all. Later. Peace, peace, peace.